So we've made it really easy for salespeople to identify the pressing needs of clients, or at least to engage with them on value adds within the smart building space. So instead of you having to go in and understanding the trends in the industry and packaging those into the conversation that you're going to have with your clients, we've already done that insight or that market research from our interactions with the clients, from the solutions that we've deployed. And we've come up with 6 key areas that we believe are relevant at the moment in creating value for people in the smart building environment. The first thing that we've identified is building management system integration, which typically means that we integrate with an existing building management system at a client site. And where we see value being added from a building management system perspective is, one, often those systems are not remotely monitorable and you need to be at a terminal or something similar to get data from the system. So we make that data remotely available for building managers, that they don't have to be on site to monitor the state of things. The second value add in that space is really the ability to visualize things more simplistically and provide outputs that can be digested and acted upon more easily by building managers and by decision makers. So we bring that data into our dashboards and we make that available. The third thing, which is critical, is that we provide analytics and predictive insights on that data. Typically, the building management system that you will have on site, doesn't have any predictive capability, doesn't have a very good UI to provide insight and analytics. And then fourthly, of course, is we provide then an open system. That means you can take that building management system data, combine it with data from other systems, feed it into other systems, for example, workflow management systems and the like, to automate those processes. So you really get a lot of value add on top of a building management system, which some people feel like is the be all and end all of maintaining a building. We expand on that and we just incorporate it as one of our solutions in our broad overarching architecture. The second solutions that we've identified is really around environmental monitoring. And as I've mentioned previously, it's becoming increasingly important that we understand the internal environment of the buildings that people operate in. So we've got a selection of predefined solutions that do that monitor various environmental factors, things like CO2 levels, things like temperatures, things like humidities. And what we do with that data then is, one, we enable our clients to do automated reporting on that, and that feeds into things like certifications, green building certifications, LEED and WELL certifications, which are becoming industry standard at the moment. What it also allows us to do is give the occupants of a building an increasing set or a sense of comfort that they are sitting in a comfortable environment. We make sure that they know that the CO2 levels are fine, that the temperatures are fine, that the light levels are conducive to healthy working, so that they are confident that they are working for a good employer that ensures that the environment is good and that is acting on those things if they go wrong. And then the third thing, of course, is ensuring that the systems that are working to keep that environment in check are working as they should be. So we can see that the temperatures are cooling as they should. That means the cooling systems are working fine, and various other things. The last aspect on this one is that we can then track how resources are being utilized in the building in relation to how that building is being used. So, very often we use things like light level sensors and temperature sensors to understand that, lights are operating in an environment and cooling is happening in an environment. If there's no people in there, it gives us an indication that, there's resource wastage. So there's quite a lot of value adds you get out of that one. The third one is around utilities, and what we do is we monitor electricity consumption in buildings and water consumption. When I talk about buildings, I mean it's across numerous sites, numerous types of buildings, whether it's for municipalities or whether it's for people in their corporate office parks. And what that energy consumption allows us to do is it allows us to create visibility, which is critically important when you're trying to manage your utility consumption. So we create visibility. We give our clients the ability to understand where the highest usage areas are. And then, we use that data to drive interventions to drive down that usage. So it's the visibility, it's the ability to act on that. And then from a water perspective specifically is you can understand areas of leakage, for example, areas of waste, and act on those things in near real time before it becomes a major issue and before things start getting away. And that's a big paradigm shift from the current systems that people are using, because in industry currently what we're seeing is monthly reporting reporting or weekly reporting, which means it's after the fact, and it really doesn't help your cause if you're trying to drive something and manage your systems better. So that speaks to utilities. The fourth one is really around occupancy monitoring that we're doing, which has come to the fore a lot lately with the pandemic that we find ourselves in. But really what occupancy management is all about is understanding, and counting the number of people coming into a space, whether that's into a building, whether that's into a meeting room or into a certain area in that building, or whether that's to a certain desk in the building. So we've got solutions that do all of that. And what we do is give our clients a real-time view of occupancy, and that allows us to do certain things. One is to alarm on events that would concern decision makers. So, for example, in COVID-19, if a space only is allowed to take 50 people and there's 60 people, that's a red flag. That shows a lack of compliance, and we can pick that up and address it quite easily. But where the power comes in with occupancy is around the reporting aspect of it, understanding patterns, and we give our clients reporting views to understand what their occupancy trends are. I mean, this is applicable not only in an office space environment, but you can imagine in a retail environment where we can use that data to understand footfall and to understand busiest times of the day, quiet times of the day, that really allow you to align your resources. And when I mean that, align cleaning, align cooling, align the amount of space that you actually occupy or that you rent out to the number of people that are actually utilizing it. So there's a lot of utility that comes out of monitoring occupancy in a space. The fifth element that I want to mention speaks to asset tracking or track and trace that we can do. And what we have is various solutions which allow you to track assets in a space. And assets can be anything from stock in a store to laptops in a corporate building, or to chairs, or your main asset, which is your people at the end of the day. And we do that via various means, whether it's RFID, whether it's Bluetooth. There's really flexible options in doing that. And where that becomes very powerful is, one, in environments where you have high value assets, you want to understand where they're moving, and so you can pick that up in real time and understand whether they've left a certain geozone, for example, in real time. Mind you, that is also extensible to what we do for fleets, which is also relevant to facilities managers who might have fleets managing their portfolios. So you can understand where an asset is, where it's been, and whether it's in a restricted area, whether it's been stolen or not, for example, and what its utilization looks like. There's a very interesting use case that we're doing around asset tracking within buildings, for a company in the Netherlands, where we track blood infusion pumps that people use for medical application throughout depots. So we see how they move through that process, ensuring that they move through cleaning, that they move through the stores, that they move through the relevant parts of the depot, and ensuring and understanding how long they spend at clients, and whether where they are at a certain point of time. That allows us to manage that value chain very, very efficiently. So asset tracking is another big use case within buildings by various means. Now with COVID-19 as well, of course, you can use things like Bluetooth low energy tracking to understand whether people have come in close proximity with each other and flag those things. But we expect the pandemic to pass, and we expect that use case to diminish a bit. But in things like industrial environments and factories, to stay quite relevant. And the final thing that we want to bring to the fore is our COVID-19 monitoring solutions. So really what we have there is a suite of camera and infrared sensing solutions that allow our users to monitor the temperature of people in real time when they're coming into spaces, and then counting them as they come in, so that we can understand and track and trace whether a person was over the required temperature, when they entered a place, whether that place was over or under or overpopulated, and that led to a risk. And there's a suite of solutions that do that and add value in that sense. And of course, those solutions are not only relevant now for the pandemic. I mentioned industrial applications, in things like mines and in other environments. Those applications are quite important to ensure employee health and occupational health and safety. So there's quite a lot that we're doing in different facets, and that add a lot of value that you can take to your clients and talk to them about, that are pre-packaged, that don't require a lot of thinking, and to unpack a lot of the client's pain points, that we can actually suggest these solutions to them and deploy them. Why Commander is different to a building management system is that it goes much broader.